Hello everyone and welcome back to JJD TV. I'm your host Josh and we are back with the 5 takeaways from the match we just saw between the Canadian men's national team and Croatia. A result that finished 4-1 Croatia and eliminates the Canadian men's national team from the World Cup. There's a lot to break down, there's a lot to discuss. Hopefully you guys are excited for this even though it's the result you don't really want. But if you are, as always, be sure to drop a like or drop a sub and let's get into my takeaways now. Well everyone, that is all she wrote. 2 matches for the Canadian men's national team at the World Cup and they are sent packing. There is of course one more match against Morocco. That doesn't mean anything for us, but obviously a lot's on the line for Morocco, so we play for pride, we play to be the upset, try to knock Morocco out, I guess. It's not really where we wanted to be go leading into match 3, and that's because we couldn't take care of business the first 2 matches. Let's be honest. That Belgian performance was incredible. We deserved something. Even a draw would have had any lifeline of creating something in that last match, but we couldn't do it. We fell short, and then today we simply got outclassed. But we're going to start off with my very first takeaway. My first takeaway is Alphonso Davies, and it's the hot start. This is a very consistent theme with Canadian national team, coming out hot, and it's impressive. We've seen it so many times throughout qualifying. This team knows how to get on the front foot right away. They did it against Belgium. They didn't take their chances. It punished them. They did take their chance here. That missed penalty shot, all those negative emotions, the spotlight of Alphonso Davies getting the first ever Canadian national team goal kind of fell apart in that first match. But a minute and change into this one, it was there. A beautiful ball from Tajon Buchanan, who I thought had an excellent game. Whipped it in. No one was beating Davies to that. Beautiful header. 1 minute and I think 17 seconds in. History is made. The first ever goal scored for Canadian men's national team at the World Cup is by, of course, Alphonso Davies. What a start. Dream start. And you start to imagine, all right, how are these next 20 or so minutes going to go? How are we going to settle into the match? And can we keep this basically going for the entirety of the match? The answer is no, obviously. But the first 20 or so minutes of the match, Canada did pretty well. I thought to kind of relax their nerves a little bit, settle into the game. It looked for a long stretch there that Canada knew exactly what they were doing, and this could be another big upset on the cards. However, from that 20-minute mark on to the rest of halftime, you could see Croatia kind of creeping into the match, and that is my second takeaway, is that Croatia, I mean, full credit to them. They're a class. They're a class side. The talent in that side is tremendous, and some of the question marks around this team, specifically their striker and right wing, and this isn't coming from me, this is coming from some Croatian friends as well. That was the worry. They came up big when they needed. Kramer had an excellent match as well. I thought he was the man of the match for them. I just thought he scored 3 times. The one didn't count, but they're all excellent finishes. But they're a good side, and when those 2 areas that were of concern were also adding to the success of this team, you could see what they could do. They were running through Canada, and they made Canada run like crazy. Like I said, in terms of style, you always knew that Canada was going to line up better against Belgium. That's where the opportunity was. Morocco, a similar way, took care of business. It was always going to be very, very difficult, and that midfield made it very difficult. And from that 20-minute on, Croatia was leading into the game. They started dictating the tempo. They had a ton of the ball. They were creating chances. Things were starting to kind of fall apart, and then that first goal went in, and we had a bit of a lifeline. It's like, okay, there's the warning. Let's see how we can adjust, and we just weren't able to cope with them. That's just as simple as that. The defending, the organization, the Canadian team just looked very, very tired, and Croatia knew what they were doing. They found the back of the net, and then at that point, it's like, okay, well, let's just get into halftime 1-1. That's all we need to do. Get into halftime at 1-1, settle the nerves, get this team going, and then a sucker punch came in to make it 2-1 before halftime, and that pretty much put us to bed. I was somewhat impressed again with the more positive start in the second half, but it just time for Croatia to settle things down, and then they just took over once again. It was a very stretched match. There was a lot of opportunities trying to be creative both ways, which happened when Canada was going through it. And at the end of the day, they were punished 2 more times and ended up being a 4-1 smacking to eliminate us from the World Cup. But I just want to make sure that the Croatians were watching know Croatia outclassed us. They deserved the performance tonight. There was moments from Canada today, but all in all, the game plan for Herden wasn't there. Croatia knew how to cope with it, and they knew how to strike, and they absolutely did that. And that means to lead into my third takeaway, because there was a big narrative before this game. There was a new John Herman going around with a maple leaf up here and down here. And then Kramer had some comments after the match. I don't agree with them. If you've been in any locker room, ever, doesn't matter the sport, saying F whatever, I mean, it's said. It's not the most disrespectful thing in the world, but That's my opinion. I mean, maybe Herdman wants to be a little bit more careful. That's up to him. I don't have an issue with it. I don't think a lot of people do. I think it's just a very sensitive topic, I guess, for the Croatians. I don't know. But hey, they use it as motivation, and whether that did have an impact or not, they made them pay. And then I guess they said, like, I don't know. Let me know in the comments if you're Croatian as well, guys, because maybe it's a loss in translation, but like, I've been in many different locker rooms in my life. I've played sports at a relatively high level in both soccer and hockey. Football, sorry if you're also out there. The number one thing I'd say before you go and you get in the huddle, let's go pick them up. That's what you do. Like, I don't know. I don't know how it got kind of spun like that. Maybe they don't like the fact that it came from a manager or whatever, but regardless, it clearly gave them a little extra motivation, which is something you don't want to do. But at the end of the day, Canadian fans as well, we did not lose this because John Herdman said that. And if you think so, you are very, very wrong. Croatia doesn't need to be motivated by John Herdman saying F Croatia. And he just meant, I want to F them up. I want to get a result. I want to move on and pick up 3 points. They weren't able to do so, but the reason we lost that match wasn't because John Herdman said that. I don't have any issue with it, and if you do, I'm sorry. It's just there's a loss in translation. Go play sport. Figure out what it's like to be in a locker room with a coach, with other players. You want to hear some of the vulgar things that are said, and if the press can't get that, then they're absolutely out to lunch. But I saw some tweets going around, and I just want to assure you guys, the match was not won or lost because of what John Herdman said. It was won and lost what happened on the pitch, and Croatia was just the better team today, hands down. That was the Croatia side that we could see potentially doing something dangerous in this tournament. The Croatia side that obviously went to and finished second place in the last World Cup. This team is full of quality, and they showed it today. My fourth takeaway, though, guys, is not all things are lost. This is our first World Cup in 36 years. This program has come a long way. No one, and anyone else who's watching, no Canadian thought that we were going to go and win the World Cup. We're very happy to be here. We're very grateful to be here. Canada soccer is in a good state right now, and we just got to enjoy it. What these guys did was fantastic. Check mark, first ever World Cup goal. We have these young 20 to 23-year-olds who by the next World Cup in 2026 will now have a World Cup under their belt, will have this type of experience, and will just get better. This is a huge moment for us. Yes, we didn't obviously make it out of the group, but that's fine. Did you really expect Canada to go on? Like, if there was something there, it was because of that Belgium game and then maybe the Morocco game. Couldn't even get to that. Couldn't take care of business. It is, but there's a lot to take away. Tajon Buchanan, I thought, had an excellent tournament. Alistair Johnston, Kamal Miller. These guys came in and put in a good shift and hopefully will also lead to potential moves. We've heard Ismail Kone getting linked to Europe. We've heard Alistair Johnston almost sealing that move right now to Celtic. Tajon Buchanan has got a few top 5 leagues taking a look at him. There's another player that I'll touch on. I'm just going to lead into my fifth and final takeaway before we get going here. But it is Jonathan David, who's also been linked to some big clubs in Manchester United. But there's still a lot of positivity to take away. I thought Tajon was a lot of fun to watch throughout this tournament so far. Alistair Johnston put in a shift. The midfield was a little iffy, and that's what my fifth and final takeaway was. There's a lot of hate going towards Atiba Hutchinson, and it's always easier to talk in hindsight. There's also a little hate going on Jonathan David, but we'll get into that. First, let's take things with Atiba, and the fact that there's a lot of comments out there saying, well, like, Atiba needed to come off at halftime, and then Atiba shouldn't have lasted the whole match, and Atiba shouldn't have started, and yes, you can say that once the match is over, but Atiba had an excellent match, in my opinion, against Belgium. Yet he's only played one competitive match for Besiktas before the World Cup. So what did you really expect from him? I'm so impressed and so proud to see the fight he did today and the fight that he's done throughout. Maybe he should have been taken off at halftime, but there was a Stephen Eustáquio injury as well, guys. And he was carrying a knock as well. These guys want to battle through everything because this is the World Cup. But the fact that Steph had to come off at halftime might have changed whether Atiba came off or not. Yes, he looked a little bit tired, but it was just not really on Atiba. It's just the fact that Croatia was taking the match to Canada. They were dominating. They're making us run. They made it so difficult. They made the little things very difficult as well. And, you start Samuel Piette, would that have made things any better? I mean, if you started Kone, you would have played him out of position. It is what it is. With Steph coming off injured, it almost made it sure that Atiba had to play a little longer. But I don't think any of this match goes down to Atiba. It was the collective. And same can be said for Jonathan David, who I thought has had a couple quiet matches. It's a shame. This is an opportunity for him to hopefully, score a couple goals, get that look, get that transfer he's been looking at, and he was really quiet in both, to be honest. It's a shame, but it's just one of those things where, hey, these 2 games won't define you. He is still a very talented player, and overall, it was a tough game. It was still a once-in-a-lifetime experience to be able to watch your national team back, watch them go through these type of moments. Lots of highs, lots of lows. But shout out to Croatia. Looking very good. Morocco looks very good too. They're going to be looking to take care of business against us. I think they've been the two best countries in this group. Belgium, I mean, they weren't impressed with themselves. We obviously thought we could take points, so it'll be interesting. I'm assuming probably Morocco and Croatia will make their way out of the group and will go on. I know the Moroccans and Croatians have had some fun watching this channel, but I do want to give you guys a shout out because you've been playing great. The two right now who I think deserve to go through are Croatia and Morocco, so we'll have to wait and see how that goes. But let me know what your guys' biggest takeaways from the match was, from the tournament was. For me, it was just simply getting experience, hopefully taking this valuable experience into 2026, keep growing. Maybe for some of those players like Alistair Johnson, Kamal Miller, Ismail Kone, get that transfer, start getting these Canadians into Europe, play at the best level, keep competing. But this is a proud moment. Thinking back to when CONCACAF qualifiers started, I wasn't even sure if we were going to make the World Cup, let alone competing with like a Belgium. So came a long way. I'm a proud Canadian. Hopefully you guys are as well. I know it's as expectations rise, so do the emotions, so do the flair. But hey, we got to see our first ever World Cup goal. Hopefully maybe pick up a point against Morocco. We'll have to wait and see. But let me know down below what you guys' thoughts are on the tournament and the game as always. Be sure to drop a like, drop a sub if you guys are new. And thank you guys so much for watching. Cheers, friends.